Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learning with Jelly. Today is video 8 on how we can add a .gitignore file to our repository. This is the 8th video in our Git and GitHub series. So let's talk about our agenda for today. So we're going to talk about why a .gitignore file is important, when to use it, and then we're actually going to create one for one of our repositories. So what is this .gitignore file? A .gitignore file is used whenever you don't want Git to track certain files. So maybe this is password files that you needed in order to access certain code, or maybe for those who are working in Python notebooks, there is this folder of IPYNB checkpoints that you want Git to ignore because it's going to save a checkpoint of your notebook every 2 minutes. And of course, if you're doing a lot of saving or you're working on that notebook for a long time, that can be a long list of checkpoints. So it's not important that you actually push it to your repo, or it may be extremely large files that GitHub cannot handle. Anything that you don't want GitHub to track, you're going to add into this .gitignore file. It's important to know that you want to create this .gitignore file before you actually push a code notebook to your repository. So if you add the .gitignore file after you have pushed your code notebooks, that IPYNB checkpoint folder won't go away because it's still going to keep the old checkpoints. It just won't track any new checkpoints. So if you create this .gitignore file first, then you'll have no problems in seeing that folder whatsoever. So let's actually go into our terminal and create this .gitignore file. So I'm going to pull up my terminal. And the first thing that I'm going to do, let me go ahead and clear my screen, make it just a tad bigger. I am going to navigate inside of a repo. So I'm in a folder called First GitHub. It's just a folder where I have my projects. And I want to navigate into my GitHub_first repository. So I'm going to do a CD and I'm going to go inside that repository, do a git status just to make sure it's an actual repository. And it is, right? So in this case, now I want to create this .gitignore. So I'm going to do touch and I'm going to do dot. Don't forget the dot because that's very important. It's recognized by Git. And I'm going to do .gitignore. And then I'm going to do code so I can actually open this up in Visual Studio Code. So once I get on my welcome screen, I'm going to hit open and I'm going to go ahead and navigate to that repository called GitHub_first. And here I see that I have this .gitignore. I'm going to hit this branch. It says that this .gitignore has a U next to it that is untracked. That means I haven't added anything to it and I also have not staged it, etc. So now I'm going to want to add things to my .gitignore. So say for instance, I know that I'm going to work on Python code and I want to make sure I ignore all of those lovely checkpoints. We're going to type in these 2 lines into our .gitignore. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to say .ipynb underscore checkpoints. And then I'm going to have a asterisk, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, asterisk close dot. All right, sounds good. We're going to have an asterisk close .ipynb checkpoints, and then I'm going to close it just like this. So that means I don't want to track any folders because anything that ends with a slash is a folder of IPYNB checkpoints, and I don't want to track any file names that may have the extension IPYNB checkpoints. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a Command S or a Control S to save. If it can save for me. File, save. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add this file. Okay. And within this file, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to commit it. So I'm going to say adding a .gitignore file. I'm going to go ahead and sync those changes. And then when I go back to my GitHub, I'm going to navigate to that repository. It was called GitHub first. It says updated now. And now I see that I have my .gitignore file. Okay. So that is how you actually create a .gitignore file. We're going to see in a future lesson that if we add any code to an actual code notebook, that it should be ignoring anything that has a .ipynb underscore checkpoints extension. So that is all, you all. Thank you so much. Tune in to Learning with Jelly's next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye-bye.